if you don't know me, and I find my paradise through reading. So thank you for visiting my channel. I'm glad to have you here. Happy Easter. I have been able to get away for a couple minutes, step away from all the Easter celebrations to spend a little time with you folks. And actually had to step away from everything that's going on downstairs. I am up in my room, so that's why it's a little bit different. You can see my, I gotta show you this, guys. Look, just a girl who loves books. I love that poster. I love it so much. So, what I wanted to share with you quickly today is something I haven't shared yet with you folks. And I was thinking about it today, and I was like, hey, like that would be interesting to talk about. So you know how my reading is just all over the place. I'm like in manga and classics and fantasy and just all across all genres. But is there a niche, like a very small kind of niche that I like? And there is. I have a small collection here, and this is some of the books in my collection. And the niche that I kind of move, gravitate towards when I'm in bookstores are books about books. I know some people hate it, but that is my jam. I love it. And what I mean about books, they could be books about libraries, bookstores, librarians, authors, people who love books, or it's just books are really prevalent in the story. Books that come to life, books that you can, I love books about books. They're just so magical. And so I have a little stack here of some of the books in my collection so that you can see the variety. Like there's books about books that, fit mystery or romance or historical fiction. So it goes across all genres, but that's the common theme. And I actually keep in my bedroom, I have like another bookshelf. I'm thinking of taking it downstairs, but I have a bookshelf, and in that bookshelf, I actually have my books about books like separate on this bookshelf. So they have their own place. So let's get going. Let's start off. My first book, before I forget to mention it, is The Midnight Library. It was one of my favorite reads from last year. Love that book, but it is out being lent out to a friend, so I don't have it here with me. And it actually went from like one friend to another, and so it's just making the rotation. It's such a wonderful book. Love it. So that being said, the next book we have here is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Oh God, this book was so special to me last year too. This is the first Emily Henry book I ever read. Loved it. This was one of my favorites from last year. This was like enemies to lovers. And what can I say? Their banter. I mean, they come at each other. I mean, they are just like, and it's so freaking, it's hilarious. The way they just kind of like wordplay and just try to get on each other's nerves, and they're so funny. And then this had like some really unexpected twists and turns. It was just absolutely what you would not expect from a romance. So I guess it's kind of like romantic comedy, but there were just so much serious issues in here as well. So wow, like this book wasn't fantastic. This book was everything. It was everything. There was hidden stories, there was trauma, there was just love, there was everything. I can't talk about this book enough. So that's one of my books about books. And then we have The Lost and Found Bookshop. And this is by Susan Wiggs. Look at the cover. Isn't that just so pretty? Yes. Yes. Look at that. Okay. So this one is, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while. This woman takes over, I think, the bookshop that belonged to her family and her grandfather. Her grandfather has dementia, and so she's trying to not lose the bookshop. I think, yes, a financially strapped bookshop in San Francisco. And she hires someone to help restore and do some of the repairs in this bookshop that is like run down and it's just falling apart basically. And it's interesting because I guess like when I picked this up, let me see, where was it? Yeah, her grandfather is struggling with memory loss. So between this book being about a bookshop and being about books, also about her dealing with being the caretaker for her grandfather who's suffering from memory loss, which touched home to me because I was the caretaker of my father who was suffering from memory loss. So when I picked this up, I was like, okay, like memory loss and books, like I can totally relate. I want to pick this up and read it. And I did absolutely enjoy this book. This was really good. I think I read this in like 2 days. It was so interesting. It was really good. So, ooh, look at this one. The Paris Library. And this is by Janet Skelton Charles. Okay, so this is historical fiction. Let me just make sure. But this is about the Paris Library in Paris during the occupation of Paris by Nazi Germany, and how the people in the library almost used like books and the library and their service as a way to kind of help people. And it's hard to explain, but this book was very deep. So it goes back and forth though, because it's like present day, this young girl, or I think maybe she might be a young teenager, she's dealing with her mother who's become ill and is dying or whatever. And then her next door neighbor is this really old lady that not a lot of people know about. And so they want to, well, she ends up befriending this old lady and spending some time with her. And then so it goes from their present day to the old lady's past, because she worked in the Paris Library and she went through all of those traumatic experiences. Oh boy, it was bad. It was so sad. It was so heart-wrenching. So it's just kind of back and forth on that. Captivating, amazing. Highly recommend this book. This is absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Oh, and then we have, look at this cover. Isn't that cute? Okay, so this is The Messy Lives of Book People, and this is by Phaedra Patrick. Okay, this I actually think is pretty similar almost to The Seven Husbands. No, not The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Yeah, actually, it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. There is a house cleaner of a famous author, and the author ends up having the house cleaner finish her book. And so it just kind of like the house cleaner is just stunned and is trying to finish this book, and keep the famous author's secret, because there was just this whole deal that they made, kind of like a plan. But anyway, she's trying to keep the author's secret, she's trying to finish her book, and she's trying to find out information about this author. Like, who was she really? What was in her past? Like, who was her great secret love? So it was pretty much like that. So it definitely had that, like, towards like, oh, okay, like this is all coming together. And the way it came together was brilliant. I did enjoy this book. Loved it. Okay, what do we have? Oh, look at this cover. I just love all these book covers. Like, they're just all like these books on there, just so cute. So this is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, a novel by Robin Sloan. This is bizarre. I don't even know how to explain this story. I'll just have to read the back, I guess. A great recession has shuffled Clay Janin away from life as a San Francisco web design drone and into the aisles of Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. But after a few days on the job, Clay discovers that the store is more curious than either its name or its gnomic owner might suggest. The customers are few and they never seem to buy anything. Instead, they check out large, obscure volumes from strange corners of the store. Suspicious, Clay engineers an analysis of the clientele's behavior, seeking help from his variously talented friends. But when they bring their findings to Mr. Penumbra, they discover the bookstore's secrets extend far beyond its walls. Rendered with irresistible brio and dazzling intelligence, Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore is exactly what it sounds like, an establishment you have to enter and will never want to leave. Okay, so this was bizarre. This bookstore was not a regular bookstore. There were, people would come in and they were looking for like a specific book, and there was like some kind of order to the books that they checked out. It almost looked like they were researching or trying to figure something out. So there's like just this big secret, almost society, that's surrounding this bookstore. So it was bizarre. Not 100% the greatest. I think when like the big secret was kind of like revealed, you're like, that was it. That was it. Oh my gosh. Like all that for that. I dropped it. But I may unhaul that. I read it. I kind of enjoyed it. When it came to the big secret, I was like, okay. And that was good enough for me. I don't think I'll ever read it again. Same with this next one. We have The Shadow of the Wind. And this is by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. Okay, so this is again about a bookstore. It says Barcelona, 1945, a city slowly heals from its war wounds, and Daniel, an antiquarian book dealer's son who mourns the loss of his mother, finds solace in a mystery book entitled The Shadow of the Wind by one Julian Carax. But when he sets out to find the author's other works, he makes a shocking discovery. Someone has been systematically destroying every copy of every book Carax has written. So that's just part of the synopsis on the back. So basically there's this kind of like secret, if I remember correctly, and I read this like some years ago, his father takes him to this bookstore. It's kind of like an out of the way, nobody really knows about it, through an alley, secret passage, secret knock. I don't know. I think it's kind of like a secretive kind of bookstore. He gives him a book, or he picks a book, and he's in charge of that book. Like, he's responsible for caring for it and making sure nothing ever happens to this book or something. So he ends up with The Shadow of the Wind. He finds out someone is going throughout the world or whatever, trying to destroy all of the copies of this book. And he's like, not mine. Who are you? What's going on? So he sets out to try to figure out who this person is, why they're destroying these books. So he meets a lot of people along his path of discovering what's really going on. So that is The Shadow of the Wind. Again, I read it once. I was kind of intrigued. It wasn't 100% my thing. So I think I will give this to one of the little free libraries. So that's that one. And my next one, The City of Dreaming Books by Walter Moers. And I can't say much about this because this I have not read yet. I got this for Christmas. It was on my wish list, and I am so excited to read this. I think I'm going to put this on my May TBR because I keep seeing this, and I think it's adorable. Okay, and look, it's got pictures. All right, illustrations. Let's be, proper, but so, like, what is this? What is it? And there's like aliens or something. Like, you see this? What is going on? So, I don't know. Okay, let's see what this is about. Optimus Yarnspinner has inherited from his godfather an unpublished manuscript by an unknown writer. He sets off to track down the mysterious author who disappeared into Bookholm, the so-called city of dreaming books. Yarnspinner falls under the spell of this book-obsessed metropolis where an avid reader and budding author can find any number of charming attractions. Priceless signed first editions, salivating literary agents, and for hire critics. But as he pursues the trail of the missing author, the darker side of Bookholm begins to unveil itself. Cold-blooded book hunters, fearsome cyclopean booklings, sharp-toothed animatomes, and of course the Shadow King, whose howls rise from deep beneath the city at night. Will Yarnspinner survive his quest into this world where reading is a genuine adventure? A fantastic tale for every book lover, The City of Dreaming Books is another zany, Zimonian adventure from the one and only Walter Moers. Doesn't that sound so exciting? Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. May TBR. Definitely. This looks like such a fun read with fun illustrations. It seems to have everything I want. Everything I'm looking for. Books, adventure, mystery, illustrations. Oh my gosh. So this is the same author that wrote the 13 and a half Lives of Captain Bluebeard. And I also have that book and have not read that. That was also a book that I received for Christmas. So I'm looking forward to reading them both. So that's this one. Okay, so that is all the books I am going to share with you today. And yeah, that's just my small little collection. I'm sure there's more that I have downstairs that haven't made it up to my special bookshelf upstairs yet. But that just kind of goes to show that little niche of books about books. It could be about authors, libraries, book clubs. I mean, just like anything, and I just adore them. So that's my secrets, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's really a secret, but I thought it'd be fun to share with you guys. So do you have any specific niches that you enjoy? Because I know sometimes, people like fantasy, but maybe you like specifically fantasy where dragons are involved, or do you like books where there's talking mushrooms, or do you like it's really interesting because even there's always that romance, the niche where they have enemies to lovers, found families. There's just so many more narrow niches within these genres, and then there are some niches that will spread out across so many genres. So it's really interesting. And when you think about it, some people aren't even aware. Like I wasn't even super conscious of the fact that was always gravitating towards books about books or books about libraries. There's one that I think one was like the Paris Librarian or something. There was one about a librarian, and I picked it up and I was like, oh, and I think that was like when it kind of clicked, and I was like, I'm kind of always like looking for books about books, and yeah, so I think that's when it kind of clicked, and then that's when I started like going through my shelves, and this was like 2 years ago, when I started like gathering the books about books together, and I was like, oh wait, I have like quite a few of these, and I remember when I grabbed each and every single one of them, or acquired them from a free library or from a store, a thrift store, or anywhere I got it from. I always remember grabbing it because it was about books. And so, yeah, I guess that's the history of that. So that's all for me today. Happy Easter. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye.